All right, everybody, welcome to the second episode of the HWA Wrestling Podcast with Brandon Staub and Justin Ripple. First off, I got to apologize for last week. The audio, I had no idea, was crappy on my end. So if you tried to listen to it and you couldn't understand much, I fixed the problem. I went and I got myself a good microphone, and this week's audio should sound much better. Also, you can download the audio on iTunes. Just search HWA Wrestling or HWA Wrestling Podcast on iTunes. At the moment, the picture that comes up for the podcast is not right. So if you search for it and there's a picture of a big church and a fountain, that would be the one, and I'm working on changing the picture so that it's the right picture. But I kind of took over an old podcast, replaced it with this one, and for some reason iTunes has not changed the picture yet. But that I'm working on that problem. But if you're searching on iTunes, HWA Wrestling, it's the only one that comes up. It's just the wrong picture at the moment. So, how you doing, Justin?
I'm all right. Just sitting here and enjoying another night off.
Yeah, me too. All right, we got a lot to go over because we had Night of Champions and we had Raw. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the Night of Champions, what happened real quick. I know it's been almost a week. We're a little late getting the podcast out, but we're still good. We had Kevin Owens defeat Ryback for the Intercontinental title, which was great. I'm so happy that happened. An interesting announcement for Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker at the next pay-per-view, which is Hell in a Cell. They're having their final match, which is going to be a Hell in a Cell match. So that's coming up next month, October. Dolph Ziggler defeated Rusev, and hopefully what would be the end of their feud. I'm not so sure that that's the end of it, though. Dudley Boyz defeat the New Day via disqualification. I was really hoping to see the Dudley Boyz get the tag team titles here, but they did not. But it's coming. I think they're gonna have another match with New Day and take the titles.
You know they're gonna drag that out just a little bit.
I'm not sure what you just said there because your audio just went wonky.
Wonky. I was just saying. So you know they're gonna drag that on. Now, am I having audio issues?
Now you're starting to clear up.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Okay.
There we go. I was just saying they're dragging that on.
Now you're good.
You're going to drag that on.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about the tag team division here in a little bit. But, yes, I agree. And I think they should drag that on a little bit because those are two really good tag teams at the moment that deserve some airtime, some time to build the feud so that the payoff is good in the end. Speaking of the New Day Dudley Boyz match at Night of Champions, Xavier Woods painted his hair like Rufio from Hook, and it was awesome. If you're a fan of Hook, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The crowd loved it. There was Rufio chants during the entire match. It was awesome. Charlotte, of course, defeated Nikki Bella for the Divas title, which is exactly what everybody knew it was going to happen. Goes to prove that the WWE was just giving Nikki Bella that run to erase AJ Lee's record, which makes me angry, but I guess it's just going to have to move on and forget about it.
It's all right. Do you need a hug? No?
I might need a hug. All right. We had the Wyatt family defeated Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and the big mystery partner was Chris Jericho.
Go figure.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. I'm not really sure how much sense that makes. The Wyatts bring in Braun Strowman, which is this giant of a man. So they get one of the smallest guys to come be their mystery partner in Chris Jericho. I don't really know where they were going with that. But Strowman defeats Jericho via submission with that bear hug he does. At the end of the match, it looked like Jericho was going to start a feud with Dean Ambrose. He kind of gave him a shoulder block as he was walking out of the ring. We'll talk about that a little later, though. And the first of the two main events, John Cena defeated Seth Rollins to win back the United States Championship. Big surprise there. Although, I will say that John Cena and Seth Rollins had one heck of a good match. Cena and Rollins do really well together, and I think it's because Rollins is such a talented wrestler. He could wrestle a broomstick, and it would be a good match. And then we had the main event, Sting versus Seth Rollins, which Rollins ended up beating Sting. Sting looked awesome in this match. For a 56-year-old man, he was taking some major bumps that someone who was 30 shouldn't have been taking.
I seen a picture of him. He's huge for being 56. I mean, he's huge, muscle-wise.
Yeah, he's in great shape. He looked good. He was moving good. He was pulling off some great moves, but he took a bump through the announce table that just looked rough. Usually, before they put someone through the announce table, how they take those monitors out.
Yeah.
They didn't take the monitors out, and he went through that table. As soon as he got up, his arm was just bruised that quick. He did a flying cross body from the top rope down to the outside of the ring. And then he took some major bumps with the power bombs into the corners, which I guess eventually led to a pretty bad neck injury. And you could tell something was wrong when he went to run and he collapsed. And the doctors came in. They pretty much ended the match pretty quick after that because he was not doing well.
Yeah.
So after that match, Sheamus came out, attempted to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, but was interrupted by Kane, who's been gone for a while. He came back as the Masked Kane and chokeslammed Seth Rollins and then chokeslammed Sheamus, so he couldn't cash in his briefcase. And that ended Night of Champions. Pretty good show and all. It was cool seeing Sting back in the ring. It's unfortunate that he got injured.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so we'll move on now to Raw. The show started with a name-ring promo from the Wyatt family, which was then interrupted by Roman Reigns. Of course, Reigns, after yapping back and forth with each other, Roman Reigns challenged Bray to a one-on-one fight, which, with no referee, non-sanctioned, he just wanted to fight. one-on-one without the rest of the Wyatts there. So Bray kind of kicked the other two out, and they started going at it. Of course, once Reigns started getting the upper hand, the other two Wyatts jumped in.
Of course.
And then Dean Ambrose came out to help Reigns, and they were still outnumbered. So out runs Randy Orton to save the day. And of course, Randy Orton evens the odds and clears the ring of the Wyatts. And that's basically how that segment ended. I really hope that they're not going to start any kind of feud with Randy Orton involved with the Shield and the Wyatts. Backstage segment with the return of Corporate Kane. Kane dressed in his suit, back as the director of operations, putting Seth Rollins in a United States Championship rematch against John Cena on the show later.
So they're going to have him play both parts? Mass Kane and Corporate Kane?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And
that's kind of like the whole Dude Love Cactus Jack thing.
Kind of, yeah. Except for there's a little twist to it, and we'll get to that here in a couple segments. Next, the Lucha Dragons and Neville defeat Stardust and the Ascension via pinfall from Kalisto. I kind of wish that they would break Kalisto off and make him a singles wrestler, because he's just awesome to watch. He's like a WCW days Rey Mysterio or a Psychosis. He's all over the ring, and it's awesome to watch him. Although I think if they made him a singles wrestler, he'd probably get lost in the roster somewhere, and we'd never see him again. So maybe it's good that they keep him with Sin Cara in a tag team. Next up, Ryback defeats Bo Dallas via pinfall, which is basically a squash match. Bo Dallas does nothing but lose to the rest of the roster. Kevin Owens runs in to attack Ryback to continue their feud, which I'm okay with it as long as Ryback keeps his mouth shut and stays off the microphone. And as far as Bo Dallas, I know a lot of people think it's a dumb idea, but I think it would be smart to repackage him. Maybe put him in the Wyatt family, since he is Bray Wyatt's brother. Take him off TV for a couple months, let him grow a beard. Stick him in the Wyatt family. Say the Wyatts, brainwashed him and changed his character completely. Because right now, Bo Dallas' character is kind of pointless.
Yes, it is. But you believe.
Yes, I do believe. Next up, we have Charlotte in the ring celebrating her championship win with Becky Lynch, Paige, and Ric Flair is out there with her. She takes her time thanking her dad, thanking Becky, thanking Paige, and then Paige kind of cuts her off and cuts quite a heel promo. She turns heel. Almost a CM Punk-like pipe bomb when he, went off on McMahon a couple years ago. Then we had Charlotte. After that segment, Charlotte in a match against Brie Bella. She defeated Brie Bella with the figure 8 in a pretty basic Divas match. Sheamus defeats Mark Henry via pinfall with Brogue Kick. I guess this was just a time filler match because I don't really know what it had to do with anything. Another backstage segment with Kane. Here's where the story with Kane gets interesting. The Authority, Stephanie and Triple H, approach Kane about his attack on Seth Rollins at Night of Champions. Kane is playing it off like he has no idea what they're talking about. Almost like he has a split personality. Like Corporate Kane and Demon Kane are two different people.
No, okay. That might make sense. If they play it off right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's almost like I can't believe I'm bringing up TNA, but there's a TNA storyline maybe a year or so ago with Abyss, where he had, I think his name was Joseph Parks or something.
Yeah.
Where Joseph Parks was like the alter ego of Abyss. He was the unmasked Abyss, and he was like this businessman that didn't know how to wrestle. But as soon as he put his mask on, he turned into the monster Abyss. Seems kind of the same. But I think WWE is going to do it better with Kane. Kane's a better character, I think. We'll see how it goes, though. I'm interested. Next up, we had the New Day and Rusev defeat the Dudleys and Dolph Ziggler via pinfall by Rusev. Rusev super kicked Dolph Ziggler to end that match. And it seems like they are going to continue the stinking feud between Rusev and Dolph Ziggler. Before this match, the New Day cut a pretty funny promo. Xavier Woods came out with a little baggie with pieces of wood from the table that he was put through the night before at Night of Champions, and in which he was claiming that the wood chips that were in the baggie were dug out of his rear end. So that was funny. I love the New Day. You know I love the New Day.
New Day sucks.
Nah, New Day rocks. Next up, we had Naomi defeat Natalya via pinfall. This was Natalya's first time on TV in quite a while, and she lost. And another pretty basic, boring Divas match. Next, we had the Big Show defeat Cesaro via pinfall using the knockout punch. This was basically just to give Big Show a little push to promote the WWE Network Special coming up from Madison Square Garden, where he's going to face Brock Lesnar. He basically talked about how 10 years ago he beat Brock Lesnar for the title, and he can beat Brock Lesnar again. That's basically how the promo went.
No, okay. We'll see if he can.
What's that?
I said we'll see if he can. They made Lesnar too strong. Kind of reminds me of Goldberg.
Yeah.
Goldberg in WCW.
Unbeatable. What was his record?
I don't know, but it was ridiculous. You start punching him, the next thing you know, he'd spear you and do his finisher, and then he won. It was pathetic. And everybody loved him.
Yep. That's pretty much what's going to happen Madison Square Garden. I'm sure Brock Lesnar will pick him up and F5 him a few times, give him some suplexes, and that'll be it.
Pretty much.
Another quick promo from the Wyatts backstage segment, just to further the storyline with Roman Reigns. And then the main event, John Cena defeated Seth Rollins to retain his United States title, which was another good match. Maybe if they keep putting John Cena in matches with Seth Rollins, I'll start to like Cena.
No, you won't.
Yeah, You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
So after the match, Cena leaves. Corporate Kane pops up on the big screen and basically talks to Rollins about how you never know who might be the next challenger for the title. And then Demon Kane comes up through the ring, through a hole in the ring, grabs Rollins by the feet and drags him down under the ring, and that's how the show ends. I always thought that was kind of a cool thing when that happened, when people came from underneath the ring.
Yeah, it's always cool to see.
Yeah. All right, so a couple things to talk about. What's going on with Chris Jericho? He shows up at Night of Champions as the mystery partner for Reigns and Ambrose. It seems at the end of the match that he has a problem with Ambrose. He shoulder blocks him, walks out. Looks like they're going to start a feud, and then he's nowhere to be seen on Raw. It's like nothing ever happened. So I don't know what they're doing with Jericho. Maybe, I don't know if it was just a one-off, like he showed up for the pay-per-view and we're not going to see him again for a while. Not really sure where they're going with this. I don't know if you have any thoughts.
I don't know, because the last thing I heard, he just signed to do shows, house shows. That's all he signed for. That was his deal, to just do house shows. So I was surprised to hear that he came to the pay-per-view.
Yeah. That's all I ever, heard is that he was just exclusively to house shows.
And then he shows up. I don't know.
Yeah, they could have picked anybody to be their partner. Why would you pick Jericho and make it look like they're going to start a feud with Ambrose and then do nothing with it on Raw? It just doesn't make sense.
Unless they're trying to build up to something or think they're going to build up to something.
Yeah. Maybe unless he shows up and interrupts Ambrose, causes him to lose a match somewhere down the road. But other than that, it just doesn't. It seems weird that they would do that.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. All
right, the Page heel turn promo on Monday night sounded a lot like the CM Punk promo that he cut a couple years ago. This whole Divas division thing seems to just really surround CM Punk and AJ Lee. It's like they're purposely doing stuff to make digs at the two of them, and I don't know what your thoughts are. Like, what do you think they're trying to do? Do you think I'm just a huge CM Punk fan and I think everything is controversial? Or do you think there's actually something to this?
I think it's something down the middle on both sides. I think it's a dig at CM Punk, but then I think they're just trying to spice it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Have another CM Punk wannabe. They don't have one.
Yeah.
And
maybe it's not a dig at CM.
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe it's them missing CM Punk and they're trying to create another version of him through the Divas division and Page.
Yeah, I guess we'll see in the next few weeks what they're planning on doing.
The tag team division. We were talking about this a little earlier. It's just something I was thinking about throughout the week. I was thinking about how uninterested I am in tag team wrestling. We were talking about this a little bit last week. I think that's what sparked me thinking about this. And I feel like maybe the reason that people don't get into tag teams as much as they used to anymore is because you can't you can't get too invested in a tag team because they break them up. It's like inevitable that they're eventually going to break up. So why get invested in a tag team?
That's true. Every good, not every good tag team's broken up, but pretty much all of them have, at most in a way. Steiner Brothers. Legion of Doom didn't break up. Trying to think of other ones.
I think the difference though between like the older tag teams from 20 years ago is, yeah, the Steiner Brothers broke up. LOD did, I think, break up. Like Hawk and Animal had that feud a little bit, but those teams were around for a really long time before they broke up. So you were able to get invested in the team. Nowadays, a team is together for like less than a year before they break up. So you can't get excited about it anymore because you know eventually they're just going to feud with each other.
That's true.
So I think maybe that's the problem with tag teams now is it's just a mix mash of two singles wrestlers thrown together that you know eventually are going to split.
Yeah.
That's
pretty much what it is nowadays.
Yep. So maybe if they start actually bringing tag teams up, start in NXT, like the Ascension, a team that's known from starting in NXT together, don't break them up. Keep them together for years and years and years. Keep the Lucha Dragons, even though I said Kalisto should be a singles wrestler, I did change my mind. Keep the Lucha Dragons together for years. Start creating some good tag teams in NXT that you're not going to break up. And then maybe if that happens, maybe in like 5 years, people will be able to start getting interested in tag team wrestling again. And the last topic I have here, which not much to say, is the Brock Lesnar Go to Hell tour, which is just a couple events coming up in October. Or the Madison Square Garden event coming up first. Then he's going to be in Texas on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast, which we all know how I feel about Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes.
Actually, maybe you don't, but we all know how Stone Cold Steve Austin feels about me.
Yeah, he blocked you.
For those of you
on Twitter.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Apparently, I hurt his little feelings on Twitter, and he blocked me, so I can't read. I can't read his tweets anymore.
Yeah, he's not the toughest SOB anymore.
No, he's the easily offended at SOB. But Brock Lesnar is going to be on his podcast live on the WWE Network, which, when Paul Heyman was on a couple months ago, Heyman was hinting at a Brock Lesnar Stone Cold Steve Austin match at WrestleMania 32. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if any of that comes up on his podcast, if they hint anymore at a WrestleMania 32 match, which I think would be awful.
Yeah.
And dangerous for Steve Austin.
Yeah, totally.
And then, of course, the tour ending at Hell in a Cell with him and his rematch against The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match, which I'm not interested in at all. I really don't care to see Undertaker and Brock Lesnar wrestle anymore.
Yeah, I think they should have just left it alone after the loss at WrestleMania. Because the stupid finish at SummerSlam was dumb. Finally got to see it, though. It was stupid.
Mm-hmm. I was okay with them having one rematch. I think it should have happened a lot sooner. It's kind of weird that Undertaker wrestled another WrestleMania with Bray Wyatt last year. It took a year and a half for him to get angry about losing his streak at WrestleMania a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with a rematch. I didn't like how it ended. I think they should have ended it at SummerSlam with however they plan on ending it at Hell in a Cell. I think 3 matches is just too much. When you got 2 part-time guys like Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, you don't want to see them wrestle the same people.
That's true. Gets boring after a while.
But, yeah. All right, moving on. This week in pro wrestling history, 20 years ago on WCW Nitro from September 18th, 1995. The first thing that... Do you remember Pepe, the little dog that Steve Mongo McMichael held while announcing the show?
Yes, and I remember the other Pepe too. He got thrown in the shredder.
Yeah, wasn't there a third Pepe too in WWF? I think Al Snow had a dog named Pepe that somehow ended up in Chile.
I have no idea.
I think it was Pepe. I'm trying to remember it. I think it was maybe the Big Boss Man or something. Kidnapped Pepe, Al Snow's little dog, and made Al Snow eat the dog in like Chile or something.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember that one.
I might be wrong on that, so maybe it wasn't Pepe. I know Al Snow ate his dog somehow. I don't remember if it was Pepe. I don't remember if it was Big Boss Man, but Al Snow ate his little Chihuahua dog. But, Steve Mongo McMichael, every week on Nitro for quite a while, brought his little dog Pepe in a different outfit every week. I would love to ask Eric Bischoff why he thought this was a good idea.
He just thought it was. I don't know.
I don't get it. The first match on Nitro was the American Males versus the Blue Bloods. Which the American Males, I believe, the big star there was Buff Bagwell, and in the Blue Bloods, the big star there was Steven Regal.
Yep. Good tag teams.
Unfortunately, yeah, back in the day. There we go again, like another example of tag teams that were together for a good while that you could kind of invest your time in. Maybe not. They weren't not around as long as Legion of Doom, but long enough that you felt you could commit to watching them.
Yeah.
So the Blue Bloods are on their way to the ring, but they're attacked by Harlem Heat, another good tag team that was around for a long time. Did eventually break up, but they were around for a good while. They were the tag team champions at the time. But they attacked the Blue Bloods on the entrance ramp. And the match turned into a World Tag Team Championship match of the American Males versus the Harlem Heat, in which the American Males won the tag team championships. Watching that back, it was kind of surprising to see the American Males beat Harlem Heat for the tag titles.
Yeah, everybody was so used to Harlem Heat having the tag titles back then.
Yeah. And the American males, they were kind of like pretty boys. You wouldn't think of them as a team that could beat these, huge, these huge guys like Harlem Heat. I mean, Booker T and Stevie Ray were big men.
Yes, they were.
Next we had Paul Orndorff defeat Johnny B. Bad. And this is when Paul Orndorff had that weird music. I don't know if you remember what the music I'm talking about.
I can't probably remember.
I don't know if I should sing for you, but it was it was like almost like this opera kind of music where he was just singing "Wonderful."
Oh, yeah. Now I'm kind of remembering it. Yeah.
And he comes out with this little tiny mirror and he's checking himself out. Almost like Lex Luger when he was a narcissist.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird seeing Paul Orndorff in that kind of a character, because you kind of picture Paul Orndorff as the guy from WrestleMania 1 tag teaming with Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
And now he's a pretty boy with a mirror. Eric Bischoff. I don't know about him sometimes. And then Johnny B. Bad. Stevie. Was it Stevie Richards? Is that who he was based on?
Little Richard, yeah.
Or Little Richard, yes, yeah, Stevie Richard. Little Richard. So, some of these characters.
There's characters all over the place back then.
Again, Eric Bischoff, what were you thinking? A Little Richard character?
Maybe he liked Little Richard's music.
I guess. I mean, he picked the right guy. Mark Mero looked just like Little Richard.
Yes, he did.
The next segment, they're shooting a Baywatch episode, I guess. And Macho Man is shown on the beach. Apparently, at this beach, they just randomly have weights with benches set up in the middle of the beach. Macho Man is shown bench pressing lots of weights. And while he's doing this, he is attacked by Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster. So they have an in-ring segment with Macho Man bad-mouthing the Taskmaster a little bit, and then he calls out Lex Luger because at the pay-per-view, the War Games, he believes Lex Luger gave him a cheap shot from behind. So he calls Lex Luger out. They argue over the cheap shot. And that's basically the segment. It makes it look like they're going to have a fight, but the segment ends quick and goes to commercial. Come back from commercial after a great snap into a Slim Jim segment from Macho Man.
Yeah, had to have one of them.
I like that they still show those commercials on the WWE Network. I'm glad they didn't take them out.
They're good commercials. Always makes you want to have a Slim Jim.
Yeah. Next up, they show a video from when Hulk Hogan rode his motorcycle into the parking lot, I guess, of the arena they were at. He's being interviewed by Mean Gene when the Giant, who is known as Big Show today, drives his monster truck up and runs over Hulk Hogan's motorcycle. while all the fans scream in horror in the background. And then they also show a video from War Games where Giant runs into the War Games cage and apparently snaps Hulk Hogan's neck.
And yet he's able to walk with a neck brace.
Yes. Although we haven't seen Hogan since, so we don't know that he has a neck brace yet.
That's true.
We just know that Hulk Hogan is in terrible condition because the Giant broke his neck.
I thought he'd be more in bad condition because they ran over his motorcycle.
Yeah. I don't know why he ran over his motorcycle. He should have run over Hulk Hogan. He would have taken care of the problem right there.
Yeah. Oh, well. You can only wish.
Yep. And then the main event for this evening, Nitro, was Ric Flair against Flying Brian Pillman, which shows Ric Flair defeating Pillman with the figure 4 leg lock. Apparently at this point in time, there's been some problems in the Four Horsemen between Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. And Flair's calling out Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson doesn't come out, but he says next week on Nitro, he's going to kick Arn Anderson's buttocks. Trying to keep a PG here.
All right. We'll go with that.
And that's where Nitro ends for this week. Over on Monday Night Raw, which actually took place on Thursday this week because I believe it was preempted by the Westminster Kennel Club dog show. So maybe we should be reviewing the dog show.
You sure about that? Usually it got bumped for tennis. Like the U.S. Open.
It could have been. I thought I read something about the dog show. Because that's a big thing on USA.
Yeah.
But they did get kicked off for tennis. So I didn't really look into it that much. I don't really care. But anyway, this was a Thursday edition of Monday Night Raw. With the 1-2-3 Kid defeated Razor Ramon in a rematch. I think it was like a year in the making or something. With help from Dean Douglas, who is also known as Shane Douglas. This is when Shane Douglas played Dean Douglas in WWF as the crazy teacher guy. Which after the match they show Dean Douglas in the back with his chalkboard, cutting a promo on Razor Ramon because they're having a match at the upcoming pay-per-view, which I believe is an in-your-house event. Next we saw Kama and Tatanka defeat Savio Vega and Bob Sparkplug Holly via pinfall. Where in my notes I have nothing here, so apparently nothing really exciting happened in this match. Nothing really exciting could happen in this match when you have Savio Vega and Kama.
Yeah.
I did like Tatanka, and I did like Bob Holly eventually. Eventually.
Yeah.
When he became Hardcore Holly, he was good. I wasn't a big fan of his Sparkplug days.
It was kind of weird.
Next up, we had the Pirate, Jean-Pierre Lafitte, defeat Brian Walsh. You're probably wondering who Brian Walsh was, and you don't need to know who Brian Walsh was, because he was... This was back in the day when they brought jobbers to TV to lose matches. Brian Walsh is like Bo Dallas, basically.
Awesome.
Except for Bo Dallas gets to lose every week on TV. Brian Walsh was probably only on TV once. And then in the main event, we saw Owen Hart and Yokozuna defeat King Mabel and Mo via pinfall. Seeing Yokozuna and King Mabel in the ring together was pretty awesome. Those are two big men.
Yes, very big men.
So that's it for this week in wrestling history. The only other thing that I really wanted to bring up, and I don't really even know where to go with it, but was the WWE Network Special they had this week with JBL interviewing Eric Bischoff. And one part that just bothers me about that whole interview, for those who don't know me, I am a Vince Russo guy. I like Vince Russo. I support him. I feel bad for the guy because I think he gets a bad rap. I think he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time back in the late 90s, really. But they were talking about the incident at the Bash at the Beach with Jeff Jarrett laying down for Hulk Hogan. Hogan and Bischoff claim that whole scenario that went down was not really part of the plan. The promo that Vince Russo cut after the match and on Nitro and stuff was not in the storyline, and they're smearing Vince Russo on WWE programming without giving Russo the chance to come on and give his side of the story. I guess the point of this whole thing for me bringing this up is that I feel bad for Vince Russo because of him not being able to have a voice on WWE programming, when apparently he has proof that in a court document that Hulk Hogan even said that everything went down as it was supposed to go down, and they knew about the promo that Vince Russo cut. And I don't know, it just that interview irked me. WWE's treatment of Vince Russo irks me. The internet wrestling community in general's treatment of Vince Russo irks me. And I just felt like I wanted to get that off my chest. Because this is my podcast and I can talk about whatever I want.
Jeez. I don't think anybody's really listening to him too much. I mean, real wrestling fans aren't probably listening to it too much. You know, it's just WWE's way of, smearing somebody. Can't hear me again? Can't hear me again?
You're on. We are live, people. Your audio is crapping out again. So.
Oh, awesome. I would figure. Last week it was yours. Now it's mine.
You sound like a robot with a really bad case of laryngitis.
Oh well. Let's see if I can do anything here. I don't know if I can do anything. Let's see. Is that better? No. Oh well. Okay. I'll figure it out. Be better next week.
Oh, the joys of live live podcasting. Well, I mean, we got through the entire show with pretty much good audio. Maybe this is the cue that it's time to say goodbye for this week. And apparently your computer thinks that your opinion of Vince Russo doesn't matter. So,
yeah. Blame it on the computer.
All right. Well, I'm sure if Justin could clearly tell you, he would say goodbye until next time. So thank you all for watching. We hopefully will be here for episode 3 next week. Again, subscribe on iTunes. Just search for HWA Wrestling. Podcast Garden is, if you don't have iTunes, you can go to Podcast Garden to listen to it there. It's on the HWA YouTube channel. Just search HWA Wrestling in the YouTube search. Find us there. And somewhere on Google Plus, I'm sure. At Brandon Staub on Twitter, if you would like to follow us on Twitter. If you'd like to tweet to us, Justin's is at JutNRipple, JUTNRIPPLE, at JutNRipple. Follow us on Twitter. Tweet to us if you have anything, any suggestions for the show. Heck, maybe sometime we can have some guests. We can bring some of our fans on the show to add to our program. We'd love to do that in the future. That's what's awesome about Google Hangouts, is we can have a bunch of people here all at the same time. So that will do it for tonight. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.